Y'all, this review unfortunately will have a lot of spoilers, I'm sure, because this is my first ever review or opinionated discussion about a book I've read that I like. I'm trying not to, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna try not to. This is just gonna be a review with spoilers, but take this as a chat, like we're talking about our favorite book. Don't take it as, oh my god, I haven't read it yet, you're spoiling it. Read it, get your own opinion of it, and come back and let's have fun in the comments. So yeah, so I'm about to get into it. This book is called From Blood and Ash by Jennifer Armentrout. I'm gonna put it here so y'all can see it. So when I went to get this book, it wasn't intentional. I went in there under the impression I'm just gonna get whatever I find first, and it was between Den of Vipers, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and this little beauty. So what I did is I went into Barnes & Noble and I was like, the first one I find is gonna be the one that I get and I'm gonna read and do a review on, and it was this book. So this was my first adult romance book, and y'all, I'm so used to the YA, little peck here, little smooch here, but I ain't even gonna front with y'all. When it comes to spice, I am not no newbie. I'm a veteran in this because I started reading my little spice, my little smut on Tumblr, where all the good little spice readers got their beginning. I mean, well, you know, like Tumblr and then AO3. Some of us are still on there, but that's neither here nor there. That's nobody's business but ours. But this is the first like spicy book that I've read that wasn't a fan fiction. And I know I feel like all books start off as fan fictions, but this is the first one that I didn't type on Tumblr and I read it. So in this book we have Poppy, who's in my idea of her, this whole like kingdom is resting on her shoulders, which I think it even says that in the flap. But yeah, when I read this book, Poppy at the beginning, she was giving very much salt and pepper. I was like, girl, your definition of getting out and like running rampant and living life is going to the bar, going to like the little Red Pearl. Like, you could have did better. You could have went out here and did some. But then she did do something. I think like in like the 3rd chapter, she finally met the famous talked about Hawk. And I would give y'all my fan cast, but I'm not gonna embarrass myself I'm not gonna embarrass myself and tell y'all who I thought about when reading about Hawk and Poppy. I ain't gonna do that. But that chapter when she walked into the Red Pearl trying to start anew, trying to like pull this baddie leaf out the book and just be something that she wasn't, was just different. And not necessarily something that she wasn't, because Poppy is that girl. She is her. Like, I'm like, you can defend yourself, you can fight the evil things that will kill you and run amok. Y'all, I forgot what they're called. It's been a minute because I'm already on book 2, but I wanted to do this on book 1. But I'm like, you can defend yourself. She showed the ultimate strength by restraining and resisting, and I'm like, she can beat everybody's ass in the palace if she wanted to, but she knows that her father figure Victor would get the ultimate like punishment for training her. But at the same time, I had my like little bad moments with Victor, especially like when he called her out for not wanting to ascend, which in my head, because I'm like, the ascension and the sin kept getting on my nerves. My ascension, my ascend, I'm like, I know that's what this story is about. You becoming that girl for the palace and ascending and bringing new life or changing the community around you or whatever, while it gets stormed with all these terrible dark creatures. But the ascension obviously was something that Poppy didn't want. I'm like, she got to live her dream of being able to defend herself and doing all these things below the curtain of darkness with Victor every other night, when she would go and she would help these people pass swiftly, I want to say. And then I'm like, you're going out there and you're hearing all these rumors about the dark one. I'm not even gonna lie, I kind of figured that Poppy and the dark one would cross paths, but I didn't think they were gonna cross paths the way they did in this book. didn't think that was gonna happen. But you know, that was like a little cherry on top of the ice cream cone. I was like, oh, I mean, I saw it coming, but not like that, not like that. And the fact that the Dark One and Poppy became one during a chapter, then after that it was just, yeah, so I'm the Prince of Darkness. And she was like, no. I'm like, girl, you had all these clues in there. I mean, y'all were underneath a tree. It was dark. You couldn't see anything. And this man can see like it's sunny outside and he reading the New York Times. I'm like, that's one thing. His ultimate strength, I'm like, he can keep up with you. He can keep up with you, and you was like trained to be the baddest. I'm like, and then you got all these powers and stuff. I'm like, girl, and he didn't even know that. He didn't even know that. And you sitting here, he's sitting here being able to compete with you. But my favorite character in this book, even though it was supposed to be about Poppy, was Hawk. Cause I'm like, he held it down for his people. He really did. He really did. My least favorite character was Victor. And I'm like, how can Victor be your least favorite character? He was her father figure. She was so hurt when he died. But my whole thing is, I'm like, you're her father figure, and she's sitting here having meetings with like the royal man. I'm putting his name down here because I forgot. But I'm like, she's sitting here have to go to these meetings, and she getting here getting spanked and whooped in the nude, and you acting like you don't know what happens, but she's so down and depressed every time she comes out of the meetings. I'm like, if you were her father figure and you care for her, you would make sure that she was protected at all costs. And I know it's only so much that Victor could do, but still, I'm like, when he was like died, he was like, I'm sorry I failed you, or whatever he said. I'm like, no, you should be sorry. You should be sorry. Like, thank you for training her. But I'm like, you only did like 50% of what you have done. I'm like, you trained her to protect herself, but still, you didn't protect her as much as you protected her gift. In my eyes, is how I felt. I'm like, you were using, like, you trained her to fight, you helped her keep her secret, but I feel like he was using it to benefit himself and the people around him, and he was only giving like 75%. If you're a father figure, that's your child. Give your all. You give 110%, and Poppy deserved 110%. My favorite supporting character was, and I had to pull it up because I told you I'm on the second book, and I should have probably filmed this directly after the first book. My favorite supporting character was, and I bet you thought I was gonna say Tawny, but it wasn't. It's Wilhelmina Collins. You know, the diary. I'm like, this lady is dead, been dead, but her legacy is living on through her journal. Got Poppy all excited to be around Hawk, and I'm like, Hawk caught her, got her blushing. I imagine I'd be blushing. As far as the spice scenes, at the beginning of the book, I'm sorry, when it comes to spice, y'all can't say something spicy and it's not spicy. At the beginning of this book, it was given like straight salt and pepper, but then it kicked it up a notch. We got to like, we got to like Tony Satcher's Creole seasoning. Like, that's how spicy we got. It was good. It was alright. It was good, but it ain't hot. It ain't burn my tongue or nothing. But it was good. But I like that Hawk killed everybody that he knew in this book that disrespected Poppy in any type of way, especially at the end when Hawk revealed himself to be Castile. I'm like, I lived for it. Like, yeah, you may hate me. You may hate me, and my supporters may hate you too, but they ain't about to disrespect you in front of me. When I read that chapter when Castile crossed that table and he hung everybody up like a wreath on a Christmas door, I was like, oh, he ain't playing with none of y'all. He ain't playing. But I think even though Victor trained Poppy to be this top-notch, bad, killing, powers having, can whoop your tail woman, she was still naive. I'm like, anybody could have spotted Castile was like too, like, Look, I'm sitting here calling him by his other name. That hawk was like too good to be true. I'm like, this man is like everything you ever wanted. He defended you the way Victor ain't. I mean, even though that's just your father figure, I'm like, he sees you as more than the chosen one, the maiden. He doesn't even like when people call you the maiden. He think you like bad without your mask. He think you that girl. He can't take his eyes off you. I'm like, ma'am, you think it just dropped in your lap with a bow on it? That was too good to be true. Like, ma'am, you have all these powers. You can taste all these emotions, and you couldn't taste the betrayal that he was laying on you. Like, ma'am. But at the same time, I'm sure she couldn't taste that emotion since it was considered real to him. I mean, it is real to him, even though he gonna hurt her extremely bad. Like, trust wise, it's all love. He love you, but he just gonna hurt you because he love you, but he gonna mend it afterwards. Like, yeah. But what else in this book that I think I should touch on? I like that in this book to me, I might be a little ditzy, but I like that the fact that it didn't come off. It's just a vampire book. Even though this is called Blood&Ash, I didn't get vampire from it or even wolf from it until the end. Like, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was so into it with the romance and Poppy keeping her secret and the tragedy that unfolded at the banquet or the ball or whatever it was. I can't think about the terminology, but I was so engrossed in that I wasn't even paying attention to like the creatures or the mythological fantasy part of the book. I was so enclosed in the romance and the build. I'm like, oh cool, it's vampires. Oh cool, it's wolves. Oh cool, these gods are real that they're speaking of, but they've just been asleep forever. Like, yeah. But overall, I give this book I like this book. I ain't gonna give this book no rating. I ain't no like I ain't like no, what's the word I'm looking for? I ain't no book critic. I can't give no book no 5 stars, 3 stars, 2 stars, 1 star. But I will say I like this book. It was really slow for me at the beginning. Like, I had this book for like a couple months before I actually finished it. But when I got to the middle of the book is what made me want to finish this book. Excuse me, when I got to the part where Poppy was revealed, that's what made me want to read this book. That's it. That is all. If you like my first ever book review, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, my bad. But if you like it, subscribe, because I will be doing a review. Hopefully that's more organized on the second book. And since I'm currently reading that book, I'm going to do the review directly after I get done reading it. So if subscribe to my channel for like book reviews of like spicy books I'm reading. Yeah.